happens to a city when its streets are lined with tents and makeshift shelters? As the capital of California, Sacramento bears the responsibility of governance, but it struggles under the weight of homelessness exacerbated by the fentanyl epidemic. This is not just a local problem. It mirrors the larger crisis of homeless in America, where lives are claimed by systemic shortcomings. Every encampment by the American River tells a story of hardship and survival. In this exploration, we examine the roots of the crisis, face the pervasive issue of addiction, and investigate potential solutions. Is it possible for Sacramento to create a future where everyone has a home? Let us search for answers together. The scale of the crisis faces behind the numbers. Sacramento's streets tell a heartbreaking tale of resilience, loss, and hardship. In 2024, California accounts for nearly a third of the nation's homeless population, with over 770,000 individuals lacking stable housing, an alarming 18% rise compared to the previous year. Cities like Sacramento, San Francisco, and Oakland are at the epicenter of this crisis, where thousands are living in tents, cars, or makeshift shelters beneath highways and bridges. These are not mere statistics. They represent real people, each with their own story to tell. Take Maria, a single mother who was once a nurse. She lost her job due to rising living expenses and now shares a rundown van with her young daughter. Or John, a construction worker whose addiction to fentanyl led him to the streets, where his hopes for a better life were shattered by the harsh realities of survival. These personal stories highlight the broader issue of homelessness in America, a crisis that continues to worsen. In Sacramento, public areas that were once bustling with life now host large encampments, raising concerns about public health, safety, and crime.
Well, when I first became homeless, I was camping out in front of the parole office on North 12, and right across the street from those fishes. Yeah. So that's probably where I'll be, or I'll probably be moving around because, I couldn't find a stable spot. Right. Cops would tell me to move, or, I'll be in violation of paladin security or whatever.
Well, it's like hot weather, lugging everything in that you need to eat or drink, going to do laundry somewhere else, going to the bathroom, wherever. Some people like to find the toilet outside, some dig a hole. Personally, I go to the casino and go to the bathroom. If I don't make it, I have to dig a hole like everybody else.
The city is divided. Some residents push for compassion, offering food and assistance to those in need, while others demand the removal of these encampments, frustrated by the needles and garbage littering their neighborhoods. The tension is palpable. How do we strike a balance between empathy and the need for order and safety? California's homelessness rate, at 367 per 100,000 residents, is among the highest in the nation. Sacramento's situation mirrors this bleak reality. The crisis is not just about numbers. It's about lives disrupted by economic struggles, addiction, and systemic failures. Families, veterans, and youth form a diverse portion of the homeless population, each bearing a unique story of loss and resilience. Sacramento's plight reflects a broader nationwide epidemic that casts a shadow over the American dream. As the city contends with this issue, important questions arise. How did we end up here? What went wrong in a city known for its growth and promise? Sacramento's leaders, residents, and advocates must confront this uncomfortable truth and seek solutions to the homelessness crisis that is only becoming more urgent. The roots of the crisis, a perfect storm. To truly grasp the origins of Sacramento's homelessness crisis, we must examine the intersection of economic, social, and policy failures that have left thousands without stable housing. One of the key factors is the severe shortage of affordable housing. Between 2020 and 2025, the median rent in Sacramento surged by 20%, pushing low-income families to the edge. Rising inflation coupled with job losses in industries such as retail and hospitality has further eroded financial stability. For many, missing just one paycheck is all it takes to go from having a home to living on the streets. This affordability issue is not exclusive to Sacramento. It's part of a larger problem that's fueling the homelessness crisis across America. But economic issues alone don't tell the full story. Policy failures have also contributed significantly. California's programs like the Home Key Initiative, which repurposes hotels into temporary housing, have provided some relief. However, these initiatives have been too limited in scope to meet the overwhelming demand. A 2024 Supreme Court ruling in the case of Grants Pass v. Johnson intensified the situation, granting cities like Sacramento the authority to criminalize sleeping in public spaces. While local governments now have the legal right to clear encampments, the decision raises profound ethical concerns. Without enough shelters or permanent housing, where are people expected to go? Critics argue that this ruling punishes survival rather than addressing the underlying causes of homelessness. Social factors also worsen the crisis. Natural disasters, including wildfires and floods, have displaced many Californians, a significant portion of whom end up in Sacramento. Mental health challenges and addiction, particularly to fentanyl, trap others in a cycle that makes escaping homelessness almost impossible. Poverty and addiction feed into each other, creating a vicious cycle that's difficult to break. Sacramento's struggle is not an isolated one. It reflects a national failure to build a safety net strong enough to support those who fall through the cracks. The question is, can we confront the deep-rooted causes of homelessness without losing sight of the individuals behind the statistics? The fentanyl shadow. A crisis within a crisis. Within Sacramento's homelessness crisis, there lies an even darker force, fentanyl. This synthetic opioid, which is 50 to 100 times more potent than heroin, has become a widespread plague, claiming lives and intensifying the despair experienced by the homeless. In 2024, Sacramento recorded hundreds of overdose deaths linked to fentanyl, many of which involve people living on the streets. Cheap, readily available, and highly addictive fentanyl has taken root in encampments along the American River and in downtown areas. Discarded needles and the tragic consequences of overdose deaths serve as haunting reminders of the drug's unyielding hold. For many, fentanyl is not just a consequence of homelessness. It is a cause, a destructive cycle that ensnares those already battling life's challenges.
Not with that alone, but we're opiate addicts, so we shoot, around here it's fentanyl, we shoot fentanyl, and the fentanyl is gonna put you out, and this is kind of gonna bring you up.
Is it hard to find that, or?
That's why you see so many drug addicts around here. It's on every corner pretty much.
The effect of fentanyl on Sacramento's homeless population is catastrophic. Take the story of David, a former mechanic who, after losing his job due to the pandemic, turned to fentanyl to numb his anxiety and sense of failure. The drug quickly overtook his life, and now David lives in a tent by the river with his health and hope rapidly deteriorating. Addiction to fentanyl, like other opioids, makes it nearly impossible for people to access housing or employment programs. The city's already overwhelmed emergency services are inundated with fentanyl overdoses, with first responders stretched beyond their limits. This public health crisis also stokes rising frustration among residents, as needles and discarded drug paraphernalia become commonplace in parks and streets. How can Sacramento offer hope to those ensnared by fentanyl, while also addressing the fear and frustration felt by its housed residents? Efforts to combat fentanyl's spread in Sacramento show both potential and limitations. Organizations like the Harm Reduction Coalition provide Narcan, a drug that reverses overdoses, and distribute clean needles to curb disease transmission. However, these efforts are consistently underfunded and often only reach a fraction of those who need help. Sacramento's shelters and treatment programs are struggling to keep pace with demand, and many individuals trapped in the cycle of addiction continually move between the streets and temporary shelters with no lasting solutions. The fentanyl crisis is a painful reminder that addressing homelessness demands confronting addiction directly, but the resources and political will remain insufficient. Sacramento's battle with fentanyl highlights the complexity of the issue. It's a crisis within a crisis, and solving it requires a comprehensive, coordinated approach that connects homelessness, prevention, addiction treatment, and public health. Current responses, a patchwork of efforts. As Sacramento struggles with its homelessness crisis, worsened by the fentanyl epidemic, both the city and state have implemented various responses, some showing promise, others falling short. In 2024, Governor Gavin Newsom issued an executive order mandating the removal of homeless encampments from public spaces, a directive that Sacramento has pursued with determination. Police and city workers have dismantled tents along the American River in downtown, often citing concerns over public safety and sanitation. However, these sweeps, while temporarily clearing the streets, rarely provide long-term solutions. Displaced individuals simply move to new areas of the city, their possessions confiscated, and their trust in authorities diminished. Where can a person turn when the system seems to push them even further to the margins? Local efforts offer some hope. Programs like CalAM use Medi-Cal funding to provide housing and medical services, including addiction treatment to the homeless. In Sacramento, some former hotels have been transformed into temporary shelters, offering refuge to dozens of families. Nonprofits like the Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services distribute meals, clothing, and Narcan to prevent fentanyl overdoses. Yet these efforts are stretched thin. CalAM faces potential federal funding cuts in 2026, which could limit its effectiveness. Shelters are often unable to accommodate all those in need, and addiction treatment beds remain severely limited. The city's response, though well-meaning, resembles a patchwork quilt, effective in parts but filled with gaps. At the state level, legislative measures like Senate Bill 634, introduced in February 2025 by Senator Sasha Renee Perez, aim to protect the rights of the unhoused. The bill seeks to prevent the criminalization of survival actions, such as sleeping in public, following the Supreme Court's grants pass for Johnson ruling. Supporters argue that it is a step toward compassion, ensuring people are not penalized for their circumstances. However, critics claim it doesn't address the root causes, such as housing shortages and addiction, leaving cities like Sacramento caught between empathy and enforcement. Meanwhile, voters in November 2024 approved a contentious ballot measure that increases penalties for drug-related crimes and mandates treatment for repeat offenders. Experts question its effectiveness, arguing that without adequate housing and rehabilitation resources, such measures may deepen the cycle of incarceration and homelessness. Community responses provide another dimension. Volunteers and faith-based groups in Sacramento distribute food blankets and counseling, often stepping in where government programs fall short. Some residents, however, express frustration, pointing to needles and crime as reasons to prioritize clearing encampments over providing aid. This divide highlights a broader challenge, balancing immediate public concerns with long-term solutions. Sacramento's efforts, though diverse, lack the unity required to address a crisis of this scale. The fentanyl epidemic, in particular, demands integrated strategies combining housing treatment and prevention, but such coordination is still lacking. A path forward, bold solutions for a broken system. To tackle the interconnected crises of homelessness and fentanyl addiction in Sacramento, bold and creative solutions are crucial. The city must move beyond short-term measures and implement strategies that address both the root causes and the immediate symptoms. One promising solution is rethinking housing. The tiny home village model has shown success in cities like Austin, Texas, where small affordable homes coupled with on-site services such as addiction treatment and job training have significantly reduced street homelessness. Sacramento could adopt this model, collaborating with private developers, nonprofits, and government agencies to build thousands of affordable housing units. This will require overcoming political challenges such as zoning laws and NIMBY. Not in my backyard opposition, but the long-term advantages, including lives saved and reduced pressure on public services, would be transformative. Equally crucial is a holistic approach to addiction treatment. Sacramento needs to expand access to fentanyl treatment programs by adding more inpatient care beds and increasing the distribution of life-saving tools like Narcan. Mobile clinics could deliver treatment and support services directly to encampments, making it easier for individuals to access the help they need. Job training programs specifically designed for those in recovery could help people regain stability and reintegrate into society as productive members. Addressing addiction must also involve mental health support, as trauma often underpins both addiction and homelessness. California's Home Key program is a good start, but it needs additional funding and better integration with comprehensive services to form a true safety net for those in need. Changing how the public views the unhoused is another vital step. Public awareness campaigns such as Fentanyl Doesn't Define Them could reduce stigma and present the homeless as neighbors who need assistance, not as a societal burden. Local businesses could be encouraged to support addiction recovery programs or provide employment opportunities for those in recovery, fostering a sense of shared responsibility within the community. Additionally, technology has a role to play. AI could be used to pinpoint high-risk areas for overdoses, enabling more efficient resource distribution, while blockchain could ensure that aid funds are used transparently and effectively. These innovations, though ambitious, are attainable if Sacramento is willing to think creatively. The critical question is, when will the city recognize that its unhoused residents are not burdens, but individuals with the potential to rebuild their lives with the proper support? Sacramento has the tools. It just needs the determination to act. A personal reflection, the heart of the matter. As I observe Sacramento struggling with its homelessness crisis, I can't help but feel a profound sense of contradiction. This is a city with a rich history and immense potential, yet it is overwhelmed by human suffering. The homelessness epidemic, made worse by fentanyl addiction, is not just the outcome of failed policies. It reflects a deeper failure in our shared moral compass. Walking through neighborhoods filled with encampments, I don't just see tents. I see individual lives' stories of loss, resilience, and untapped potential that have been overlooked. The staggering figures, 70,000 homeless nationwide and hundreds of overdose deaths in Sacramento, can numb us. But when you look into the eyes of those living on the streets, you can't ignore the humanity behind those statistics. I believe the solution to this crisis lies in courage, the courage to change how we approach homelessness. It means prioritizing funding for housing solutions over sweeps that simply displace people without offering real answers. It means viewing addiction as what it is, a disease that needs compassionate treatment, not criminal punishment. Most importantly, it means recognizing every individual living without a home as a neighbor who deserves dignity, respect, and support. Sacramento has the resources, creativity, and compassion to lead in solving this crisis. The challenge is not a lack of capability, it's a lack of political will. We need to change our perspective and take bold action. This crisis, while overwhelming, also offers a unique opportunity for the city to redefine what it means to be a community, one that embraces its most vulnerable members, supports them, and ensures no one is left behind. The time to act is now not out of pity, but out of a moral obligation to those who need our help the most. Conclusion. Sacramento stands at a pivotal moment. The homelessness crisis worsened by fentanyl and systemic failures requires more than short-term solutions. It demands lasting transformative change. With strategies like tiny homes, addiction, treatment, community outreach, and innovative technology, the resources are already in place to make a real impact. The crucial question is whether Sacramento and America will choose compassion over convenience and real solutions over assigning blame. We have the chance to create a future where no one is left behind, where everyone has a safe, stable place to call home. Let's unite and turn that vision into a reality. If you support this cause, like share and subscribe to stay updated and take action. Your voice can help drive the change we need.